Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Yarelis, and I'm with the Florida Immigrant Coalition, FLIC. We are a coalition of more than 60 organizations who are working to bring dignity to everyone here in the state of Florida, including immigrants, no matter their status. I am their TPS coordinator, and tonight I'm being joined with Marlene Markowitz. But before we go into the meat of the conversation, I wanted to do a quick introduction with our interpreters.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Angélica, mis pronombres son ella, ellex, y hoy estamos proveyendo interpretación en español y en criollo haitiano. Esta interpretación va a estar disponible para las personas que estén mirando en vivo en este momento. Si ustedes se sintonizan más tarde y ven la grabación, no va a estar disponible la interpretación, pero si ustedes nos ven en este momento, pueden llamar al número 305-707-5958 si quieren escuchar esta información en español. Gracias. Ahora le voy a pasar el micrófono a mi colega Edler, quien es el intérprete de criollo haitiano.
Bonsoir tout le monde, non pas moi c'est Edler, moi vraiment content de avec nous aujourd'hui pour participer dans la rencontre TPS. Donc c'est un plaisir moi accompagné de amis moi Marie-Angelica qui a une interprétation en espagnol et nous-mêmes sur LinkedIn ça une interprétation en créole. Donc c'est un plaisir pour nous aider nous si toutefois quelqu'un qui veut participer dans la rencontre là, au carré le numéro ça 305 928 76 11 305 928 76 11. Et comme ça, on peut poser des questions ou bien tendre rencontre là en créole, en langue pour là. Merci. Thank you.
So tonight I want to welcome Marlene. Thank you very much for coming in and spending your evening with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you for always being willing to talk to us about TPS and guide us through a lot of difficult moments, a lot of times where people have questions about what is going on with TPS, and specifically, what is it that the courts are saying around around parole and around what the Ninth Circuit has decided versus what the Eighth Circuit has decided. So I was wondering if you could break it down for us a little bit.
Okay, well, there's a lot to talk about because there's been a lot of recent changes. A couple days ago, basically, the BIA, about a week ago, came out with a brand new case, Padilla Rodriguez, where the case basically says if your TPS is gone, you won't be able to be considered admissible. So it's really an interesting case because it basically lays out that this case is going to go to the Supreme Court at some point. This was a bad case, I think, for them to pick, or a good case, depending on what side of this issue you're on, because what they're doing is they picked a person who had no attorney with them in their case. This was a pro se person in immigration court. And the BIA, which is the Board of Immigration Appeals, they're the appellate court of immigration court. And so I know a lot of people that have TPS may have never been to court, may have never been to immigration court, and don't really know what it means. But the implications for everybody are huge because this goes down, it stems down, and then it can have an effect with USCIS. So in this case, this pro se person came in and got TPS. And what they were saying is that the TPS, if it's terminated, that you're still inadmissible. And the judge in the case, in immigration court, not in the Board of Immigration Appeals, had said that the case was going to be terminated because the person wasn't here without permission. They had received permission, so they had terminated the case. DHS said, no, we're going to appeal because he doesn't have TPS anymore, therefore he's inadmissible. So, what the BIA basically said is, yes, we know that in the 8th, the 6th, the 9th Circuit, they don't agree with the other circuits, And yes, they're saying that you are admissible, that the TPS is an admission, but in every other circuit, the ones that said no and the ones that have remained silent, TPS is not an admission. So this has the effect that if you are an immigration court and you are trying to adjust an immigration court, if you're in any of these other circuits, you're not going to be able to. Should your attorney or yourself still say, I want to adjust and still raise that argument? They should, in order to preserve your record, to say, I tried to fight this. And then once it goes to Supreme Court and, you say, I said this back then you can still continue using that argument. Which is why it's very important to have an immigration attorney if you have TPS and are trying to adjust, because the laws just change on like a daily basis. And so the Eighth Circuit, for those that don't know, is Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. So not South Florida, not Florida at all. The sixth is Ohio, I think Kentucky and Tennessee. It's like, all these other states that, are kind of far away from us. And Arizona, it's, California. I'm sorry, the Ninth Circuit is Arizona, California, and Nevada, and a couple other states, including Hawaii and I think Alaska. So obviously, if you're here in Florida, this doesn't help you. And we are the 11th Circuit. Florida is in the 11th Circuit. We are one of the circuits that TPS is not a admission. So it's really sad that that's what's going on. Basically, if you travel, you still have.
Wait. Marlene, you're kind of breaking up on us. So.
Oh, am I still?
Yeah. Okay. Now you're coming back a little bit.
Okay.
So
right.
You cut off at we're in the 11th Circuit. So what is going on for TPS holders here in the 11th Circuit?
So that TPS is not an are people that have had prior deportation orders, and the TPS is the only thing that is holding them here without ability to travel. So those people are the ones that are really affected by these decisions, and I think this is going to go to the Supreme Court.
So basically, if you're here in the 11th Circuit, it's still an issue to adjust your immigration status, and that basically we're waiting for the Supreme Court. The other thing that I know has ended up happening in the world of immigration is that Chad Wolf was deemed that he was not acting, he was not in his position in a legal manner. Do we see that affecting TPS in any way, or would that be a reach?
It can affect TPS actually. Before jumping out here, I was talking to some colleagues about how that does have some implication, because there's some changes that have happened with regards to TPS, especially recently. They said, you haven't traveled on advanced parole and you're going to do it now, that's not going to be considered an admission. And these were changes done in USCIS. And the question is anyone going to litigate this? Is anyone going to challenge this? My hope is that someone will challenge this. And then we have our other hope, which is that Biden's administration comes in and does something. Obviously, we have a lot of question as to what's going to happen in that transition period in between Trump and Biden. Are we, what's going to happen? And what is going to happen to those people who have applications that are already pending? But then we'll have that period where TPS will have been terminated, maybe. We don't know.
Yeah, we know that there's still a lot of things up in the air for TPS holders. What are some of the best ways that TPS holders can protect themselves in this moment?
Well, one is to figure out what's your backup plan. Is there a way that you can become a resident adjusting status. I know we throw that term around a lot, but maybe people don't really know what that means. So right now, your status is you have temporary protected status because something happened in your country that doesn't let you go back to your country, right? So a lot of these countries that we see in South Florida, most of them got their TPS status in 2001, and it's been renewed every 18 months. We get a renewal, and it's been going on for 20 years. So Trump's argument is this is not temporary anymore. And you know what? They're right. It's not temporary anymore. TPS. Well, now you're freezing on me. I hope you can still hear me.
No.
So TPS holders have their life. Basically, if you've been here since 2001, that is a lifetime to be here already. So you may have children, or maybe even grandchildren. Like it's been so long, right? So the thing is, figure out, is there another way that you can protect yourself? Are you eligible for cancellation of removal? Cancellation of removal is only a benefit that you can get in court. But let's say you were in court and your case got put on hold or terminated, or something happened because you got TPS. If you get put back into proceedings, you probably qualify for cancellation or removal. For cancellation of removal, you need to have 10 years living in the United States, which, since 2001, you definitely have the 10 years. You need to have qualifying relatives, which are children, spouse, or parent that are residents or United States citizens. And those people need to suffer extreme and unusual hardship if you were to be removed. So that means deported. So look to see if that's a backup plan for you. If you have anything else that you may have been able to apply for and just have been dragging your feet on, or right now it's the time to figure out what can happen, because we don't know if Congress is going to pass something to give TPS holders something permanent.
Exactly. And I know that another source of anxiety for a lot of TPS holders right now are work permits and driver's licenses. What are some of the tips that we have right now?
One, right now you should be able to, at least in Florida, extend while we're still in this period. I know that a lot of driver's license places are not as well educated as others, and some of their employees may not exactly know what's going on. I definitely recommend seeing an attorney. The other day, I had a case, and it wasn't exactly a TPS case, but the person has been here since 2001, kind of in that time era. And his case was administratively closed in court. He had the paperwork. I had to go with him to the DMV for them to even let him in the door. It was so sad to see, how people are mistreated just because they don't have the cookie cutter documents that they want to see. His case was very unusual. So definitely, if you're having trouble, reach out to an organization that can maybe help you. Make sure that you have everything in order. But as of right now, everything remains the same. And I know it's this horrible limbo to be in, especially when you have an employer that's asking you for your up-to-date documentation. Again, you can show them their manual for I-9s, which is what employers have to fill out. And that shows them that, as long as the TPS is still valid, you're okay. But it can be a very difficult situation to be in.
Yeah. So just to make it clear, right, and so that this is a message that just resounds, as long as your TPS is valid, your work permit is valid.
Right.
Perfect. So that's what I have for you, because I know that it's late and I know that people want information short, sweet, and simple. And thank you for breaking it down, because I know that it can get very confusing with the different circuits. I know that it can get very confusing about also what's happening here in Florida, and what even analysis paralysis, right? Like do I even have a backup option? So for TPS holders, check. You may have a backup option. Explore it.
Yeah, definitely. And also, we have great litigators down here in Florida, that are working with different cases and trying to get class action, basically litigation going forward. We had from the ALA, which is the Lawyers Bar Association, the private bar, the immigration attorneys. We've gotten together and put cases together that could possibly fit into different classes, and and seeing if we can litigate together, because there is power in numbers. And we have great attorneys down here that are really fighting to make sure that TPS holders get what they deserve, which is their residency at the end of the day.
Exactly. So thank you, Marlene, once again for spending your Tuesday evening with us. We really do appreciate it. And for anybody that has any questions, Flick has a hotline. Please feel free to call it. And I want to thank our interpreters. Thank you, Maria Angelica, and thank you, Adler, and thank you for your tech support, Giovanni. Alrighty, y'all. Thank y'all.